I live in Bangkok, and anyone who's been to Bangkok recently, you've realized the big change in the last couple of years, and that's they legalized marijuana. And when they first did it, stores started popping up everywhere, right? Especially on the Sukhumvit, like the center area. And I just thought it was way too much. Like here's a country that I'd never really seen that many Thais smoking marijuana. And so I thought, okay, these shops are gonna close for sure. Now it's a couple years on, and not only like some shops have closed, but they've been replaced by other ones. And I would say the number of shops did not decrease at all. Like if anything, it's still increasing. I'm just wondering, okay, wow, like what is driving? It made me think, what is driving all this demand? And when you look at a place like the US, where I think a lot of states have legalized marijuana as well, you see the same thing, right? Like marijuana use is just exploding. And it's gotten a lot bigger, right? Like the people that I hear just talking about, yeah, I smoke marijuana, it's become so commonplace. And I'm really surprised by some of the people that I hear doing it because they're people that I would not have thought would be smoking marijuana, at least the way the way I was brought up thinking about it. And when I hear these people talk, when you hear older adults talk about smoking marijuana, it is a very different way that they talk about smoking marijuana. And here's the fundamental difference, right? Like when you're in high school, you smoke with your friends and it's part of like a party and you're having a good time. When you hear a lot of these older adults talk about smoking marijuana, it is about being able to relax. The driver is not, I'm going to party with my friends. The driver is, I like this thing helps me relax. This thing helps me, maybe that chronic tightness or pain that I'm feeling goes away for some period of time, right? And this is what I think is driving so much growth in the past years in the US and around the world. And especially in the US, like when I was back and I look around and you go to like suburbs, especially, I would say 95% of people are misdeveloped, right? Like nobody has the correct proportions of the way the human skeleton is supposed to be. And no, very, very few people. And we've just gotten used to that. And we think that's normal, right? And but to me, what that is showing is that you have a lot of people that are misdeveloped and twisted, and their systems are going to be reacting, right? So it doesn't surprise me at all that things like chronic illnesses and issues are skyrocketing because you see all these people that have essentially twisted skeletons. And in order to calm down, because their immune system is probably reacting to that, it doesn't surprise me at all that marijuana use is just rocketing, right? And it's not rocketing as a party drug, it's rocketing as a relaxer. And I think when you look at this trend, it mimics a lot of other trends, right? Like it mimics things like the rise of orthodontics, right? When I was a kid in the 80s, 90s, it was maybe 10%, max 20%, depending on the neighborhood of kids that had it. And now the statistics show that like between 50 to 60% of teens have had some kind of orthodontic work in America. So orthodontics, obesity, 5-10% when I was a kid in the 80s. Obesity now in America is probably 70% or more. Neurological disorders, right? You just see the number of neurological disorders are rocketing. ADHD, again, another one. So all these things have the same curve, more or less. Because in my view, they're just different elements of the same thing. And marijuana use is just a reaction to this, right? And what is at the core is, in my view, structural collapse because of these biomechanics. And people are just seeking chemical relaxation. And I just wanted to relate my story quick. I've talked before about how I've been up and down over the years. And I remember in 2019, so I had a posterior open bite and I was working a lot and I just wasn't paying attention. And there was one point when I was drinking every night. I'd have like 3-4 beers and I just drink myself to be able to relax. And I would be drinking on my own in a hotel room. Like, and I'm not like I've never been an alcoholic or anything. I had no tendency, but I just like my system couldn't relax. So for months when I first moved to Thailand, I was just drinking beer until I slept every night, and sometimes whiskey and other harder things. And then like it wasn't to party because there was no one there with me and I was just watching TV. It was just so that my system could kind of like feel free before I went to bed. And so I did that for months. I literally drank every day. And now in 2024, I feel very relaxed. Yeah, I figured out how this stuff works again in late 21. So it's been about 3 years of straight line coming back. I'm still not done, but getting close. To show you the difference, like I drink maybe a beer a month, on average. And it's not that I'm trying. I just don't like. I look at a beer and someone often I'm like, why? Like my brain goes, why do I need that? Like I don't need to relax. I don't want it. I don't want to impair my system because I like working, until quite late at night. And so if you don't need to relax and you want to be productive, there's absolutely no need to, drink a beer or anything. And so that's just the way my system naturally feels. And so I've gone from a person that was drinking himself to sleep every night in late 19 and early 20 to a person that drinks maybe a beer a year, a beer a month, or a couple beers at most when he's with friends. And I made zero effort, right? Like, it's not that I said, Ken, I want to stop drinking or something like this. My system just did it, right? I don't even remember how it happens, right? And that's just how it works in my view. So some closing thoughts. Like, I think marijuana is the exact same thing, right? If I enjoyed marijuana, I probably would have been smoking marijuana every night back in late 19. And I wouldn't be surprised that I wouldn't be smoking marijuana at all now because I just wouldn't need to. And I like working even on the weekends. I usually on the weekends, I'll often work 45 hours because I just don't want to do nothing, right? Like my brain's still firing. Like I still feel very productive. So I'm like, all right, like I'd rather write something, do something I enjoy, which is productive than just sit here and veg and, smoke a joint or something. It just has no appeal. I think that what I've experienced is probably reflective of what most people experience, and that what is driving marijuana use is the fact that their systems are collapsing and off, and that if you reverse that process, you would probably see marijuana use decline.